Hey, welcome to Main Pod Girl.
This is a podcast made by popheads for popheads.
Every episode, y'all can check in with us while we discuss your burning questions, as well as what's happening in pop music.
Throughout the series, we'll be chiming in on our favorite recent discussion threads and diving into the latest pop emergencies.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sola. I'm an alt-pop R&B artist and songwriter.
And I'm AJ Marks. I'm also an artist and songwriter.
Let's introduce our main mod squirrel. We have longtime mod and frequent guest of the pod, Ed, joining us today. Say ciao to the people, Ed.
Hey, everyone. So good to be here. Thanks for gassing me up.
Yeah.
We have an actual pop emergency here today. We have one of Popheads' all-time faves with us. She's toured with Beyonce and Katy Perry, duetted with Britney Spears, written with Max Martin. We got the ultimate co-sign from Janet Jackson. And last, but I'm going to choose to believe not least, is our newest main pod girl. It's Tinashe.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. And for anyone listening, Tinashe, it is 8 a.m. for you. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. This is my favorite way to start the day.
Good. Okay, well, we're going to start with actually something hopefully that is another fave of yours, which is talking about the music that we love. So we're going to do our little icebreaker. What is everyone listening to? What do we need to save to our playlists today? AJ, I nominate you per usual.
Okay. So I've been kind of a basic pop head recently. I've been listening to a lot of Industry Baby. I am obsessed with that song. I don't know what it is. In his first era, I guess, for Seven, that album, I was not as into Lil Nas X's music. I loved his personality, but ever since Call Me By Your Name came out, everything he puts out is so good, and I'm so excited for the album. And then also the Kiana Lede Kalani duet, Your Best Friend. I've been wanting these two to collab for so long. So now that they've officially put out a song together, they have such similar, smooth, silky R&B voices. It's so good.
It is such a good song.
Very AJ core.
It is. I was going to say, actually, that song was basically made for you. I'm surprised that you didn't ask them personally for it.
I might have, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you'll have to tell me that story later. I'll go next. I have been jamming to some Pretty Much. I was recommended to listen to Corpus Christi and a bunch of other songs. And I've just been really enjoying it, getting that boy band fever that I always need in my life. And listening to some Aries, actually went back to his album.
Oh, nice. We were talking about Aries on our third episode.
Something like that. But I went to listen to more of his stuff, and he's seriously so good. I can't wait to hear what else he has to offer. And yeah, someone needs to give me an EP or an album to put on.
Well, Ed, let's hear an EP or an album from you.
I think last time I was on the Lunar Shadows episode, one of you said you're listening to a lot of Samia, or maybe it was Lunar herself. Anyway, she just put out an EP. It's very Mitski vibes, very Clairo vibes, poppy. It's so good. I've had that on repeat, and also had Claire and Japanese Breakfast on repeat, and maybe a little Tinashe on repeat, but
Yeah, maybe just a smidge of Tinashe on all our playlists.
Yeah.
Taste.
What about you, Nashe?
It's so funny. I recently just got back into listening to folklore a lot, so I don't know where that came from.
Oh, wow.
I guess I was feeling in my feels 2 days ago, so I've been listening to that.
It is August now.
It is August. It feels right. And then you know what else I've been listening to is a lot of Ray Ami.
She's amazing. I don't know how to say it either. I think Ray Ami.
I think it's Ray Ami. She's going on tour with me.
Is she?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my God. That's going to be an unreal tour.
Yes.
Her song Mac and Cheese made me fall to the ground. That song is so unbelievable.
She's sick.
She's
really sick.
She's so sick. You're going to need to let me know when that tour is because...
Ooh, girl, it starts in September.
Ooh, girl. Okay, well, I'm already buying my tickets. So.
Please pull up.
So now that we've, gotten, some playlist suggestions, let's move on. We're going to mix it up and kick this podcast off with our album Senior Superlatives. For anyone who is not American, Senior Superlatives are what you give your classmates when you are graduating from high school here. And this student was the most likely to become president, or this student was the most likely to succeed. And now we're going to do that with all of the songs from 333.
Sounds good. Let's see what happens.
Okay. So the first one is Life of the Party. Which song is Life of the Party?
I am going to say Bouncin' is the life of the party. Like,
yes.
It's just got that energy. It's got the tempo, makes you want to dance.
It's got those trampolines.
It's got those, like, what's a party without a trampoline?
I have a burning question after watching that music video. So you're using your knees to like bounce on the trampoline. Did that hurt?
Yeah.
Because I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, that must killed in rehearsals.
Oh yeah, we were heavily bruised. I had bruises on my knees, on the top of my feet, because my feet were hitting like the back wire part. I had bruises on my shoulders because we would flip over and then my shoulder would hit. It was a whole thing.
It was so worth it though. It looked so sick.
Yeah.
It made me feel alive. It was great.
You deserve a VMA just for that.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So for the next one, this one is Most Unique.
Most unique. I'm going to say 333, the title track, is the most unique song on this album. Although there are a few that are unique, I also think Small Reminders is like, it's got a lot of different like parts to it that are very unexpected, but 333, I think, really stands out sonically as it's kind of more experimental. It feels like, it kind of reminds me of some Night Ride elements. Like it kind of feels like my older work. It's really dope.
What about Most Changed? So this can be the song that maybe from its initial concept or from the first time you wrote it has developed the most.
Okay, that's definitely Small Reminders. So yeah, I basically wrote a good chunk of this song when I was writing Songs for You. So I already had this one in the bag. It didn't really fit the project Songs for You thematically or otherwise. So it didn't make that project. But then when I was creating 333, I was like, you know what? This really feels like it belongs on this project. So I started reworking it, rewriting new sections, restructuring it, getting new production on it. And now it's turned into like a whole new, fresh song.
Our next one up is Most Likely to Brighten Up Your Day.
Ooh, definitely Pasadena, I'd say.
Yeah. I was hoping you would say Pasadena.
Yeah, it's got that like bright, sunshiny energy. And then the lyrics themselves are like feeling good, feeling right. It's a vibe, living life. So it's just all about, those like positive affirmations, just feeling like carefree. Like you want to listen to it with the windows down. So yeah, I think Pasadena.
You released that second cut, the little longer version of the music video.
Yes.
And that one has like a more serious intro. What was the inspiration behind that intro?
So the intro kind of just sets the stage of it being about, I think, the transition that we went through last year, and also just like what kept me grounded when I was writing this album. A lot of it was just like being with my family and being around the place where I grew up. I think normally in my life, I'm traveling so much and doing shows and just like going through the motions all the time. Sometimes it's hard to like take the time to like really be at home and like around like my core people. And with like being in lockdown, I had no choice but to really lean into that and just kind of, I guess I wanted to create the music and the art that really felt that sense of like comfort and safety and nostalgia, but then also kind of still brought some energy, because when I made it and like during 2020, the energy was so like low and we were just like stuck in the house and like bummed and like slow and sad. And instead of making music that like felt melancholy or like really vibed out, I went like the opposite and made music that was like high energy, made you want to dance, motivated you, made you hopeful for the future. So yeah, that's the idea.
Oh, sick. Love it. So basically this whole album is Life of the Party / Brighten Up Your Day.
Basically. Yeah. Yep. That's the goal.
The songs that really kind of are like escapism, or the songs that kind of brighten up your day. Those are the songs that kind of got me through quarantine. So it definitely, it's a vibe. It's feeling right.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that responsibility, I guess, to a certain extent as a creative, as an artist, just to provide something to the world that could make people feel good, because there was so much content just like in our faces constantly that was just like, ugh. And I think that it was interesting because people would ask me a lot of times, like, how are you going to reflect on this year in your music? And instead of doing it like literally, I think the way I've reflected on what we've all been through with coronavirus and lockdowns and everything is by making music that inspires people and like going in the opposite direction, like providing something for people that can give them that escapism or just like make them feel good for that 3 minutes that the song is on, you know?
Oh, I love that.
A curveball emotional response.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to the next one. So this one is most likely to succeed. So this is before it was released. You were like, my fans are going to eat this shit up.
Honestly, probably I Can See the Future, which I dropped as like the pre-order single, I suppose. And I think that it's done exactly what I thought it would do. Like all my core fans are like, oh my God, I love this. This feels like old Tinashe. Like this is so just like a vibe. And I felt like they were going to like it. And it's got kind of like that West Coast energy as well, which like I love being from LA. You know, you got to bring that. Yeah, I'm going to say I Can See the Future is going to be like a sneaky one.
A sneaky one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're already telling the future right now.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is most opinionated, and it's which songs will make a statement.
I think Let Go. I'm going to say 2 songs. I think Let Go makes a statement, and it's the opening track, and it really kind of just sets the tone for what I'm trying to embody with this project, which is like the growth that I've had, you know, emotionally and like personally, letting go of like the things that have been like holding me back. I think a lot of the songs kind of explore the letting go process, either like right before you're about to let go or like right after you let go. And maybe sometimes how you like repeat those cycles of like needing to let something go over and over and over again in life, because that's like what we do.
Yep.
But I think that Let Go has like a lot of those great affirmations, and it just kind of reminds you and encompasses like the whole album really nicely. So I'm going to say that Let Go makes a great statement. And then the second one I'm going to say that makes a statement, but it's a totally different statement, is The Chase. So The Chase is like a really powerful, like pop power. It's not a ballad. It's like an anthem. And I am really excited about this one because I think it's just like super empowered. It really embraces, again, just like that concept of like moving through an emotion and like coming out on the other side and like feeling stronger, feeling better. And I think that that's what I really wanted to do with this project. I think Songs for You felt like there was a lot of like, I was dealing with the emotions and going through the emotions. There was a lot of sadness behind a lot of the songs. And then 333 is like kind of the transformation after kind of going through all of that, and like how it's all kind of played out, and like how I've evolved, and like what I've taken away from all of those lessons. So The Chase is definitely going to be a anthem for some of these people in these streets. So I'm excited for that one.
Well, I am now too.
So it's kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. It's just like when, you know, like when you break up and you're like sad, and then eventually you reach a point where you like don't care anymore, and like you're free. And then
you're like, fuck it.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm free. Like, that's kind of what The Chase, like the energy of The Chase is, like that liberated feeling. And like maybe it's not like true, because there's other songs on there that like immediately kind of backtrack on that feeling as well. But at least in that moment, you feel like, you know what? I'm good. I'm great. You know, I'm powerful.
Yeah.
I am woman. Hear me roar. So it's kind of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Energy.
Roller coaster of emotions.
I love that.
Oh yeah, always, always.
Another one of our superlatives was best all around, and that's which one captures 333 the best. Did you? I mean, you already kind of hinted that Let Go captures the album in that way.
Yeah.
So that gets best all around?
I think from a conceptual standpoint, Let Go gets best all around, but sonically, there's definitely more range on the project than just Let Go. Like Let Go really sets the tone, like ambiance and like theme, but I don't know. Best all around is hard. I might go with Undo actually, because I think it's just like a solid, really solid song that like deserves some praise on this project. Like again, and just really embodies all of like the themes that Songs for You led up to, and kind of just feels like a natural evolution for me. I think it reminds me of my songs Perfect Crime and Save Room for Us, because they're just like these like driving, again, kind of anthemic, really heartfelt songs. Undo is one of the most heartfelt songs on the project. Like I was really like putting my soul and like my emotions into that track. And I think you can hear it in like the performance and in the lyrics. And so I think that my fans really connect a lot of the times with my really heartfelt songs, because they know that they're coming from like a real place, and in trying to be more authentic and more genuine as an artist. I think it's really important that we have those moments on there where people are like, oh my God, I feel her, you know? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even heard the song, but I feel like Undo is about to be my favorite now.
Yeah.
Our last senior superlative is going to be Cutest Couple That Never Was. So this is a song that maybe you wanted to collab that didn't end up coming to fruition, or looking back on it, you're like, maybe I'll have someone do a remix of this.
Okay, all right. I'm going to keep it 100. On X, I really wanted to get Ariana Grande on it at first, and I sent it to her, and she actually like loved it and like complimented, like she sent me all these texts like, oh my God, it's so great, like the melodies are amazing, like I love the way that you did like the verse hook or whatever. So I'm like all hyped, like excited about it, like can we please do the collab? And it was around like Christmas time, and I think if she was about to get married, she had a lot going on in her personal life, so she was like I'm not really working on music right now. At the end of the year, I'm like taking the rest of the year off. Like, so I would like love to do the collab. Like, let me know next year if there's anything that I can like hop on. So I was like, okay, totally, I get it. But I did really want Ariana on X. I'm not even gonna lie. So
okay, so you might revisit that.
Yeah, who knows? Like maybe we could get her on a remix. That would be awesome. I also had a lot of other ideas of just like I really wanted a female collab on X. So the fact that Jeremiah is on it. Like love Jeremiah. That's not, that wasn't my initial intention. I think I asked a couple other people too. Rena.
Ooh, yes.
Wow.
Rena, but she was also like working on it, but it was like a bad time. A lot of people were working on a lot of like their own projects and like gearing up for like their next, like she's in a movie right now. Lots of things going on. I thought Rena would have been really dope on it too. Then eventually I was like, you know what? Jeremiah would sound good. He does sound good.
Jeremiah don't miss.
He does sound good. I love the tone of his voice. So he always like brings like a cool quality to the song for sure.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing if anything comes out of that. And now Ariana Grande, pressure's on.
Yeah, we're looking at you.
And there's always more songs to be made, you know, like maybe next album we'll be able to collab, especially because we can actually get in the same room. Like that would be amazing. Because this year it would have been just like us sending things back and forth, which is like cool, but it's always cool to collaborate in the same room.
Have you done a lot of like Zoom sessions?
No, because I hate them. I find them like super awkward. So I've
had to do so many, and it's like, you're not wrong.
Well, good for you. Yeah. I'm glad that you've been able to get into it, because I just flat out refused. I was like, I'm not doing that.
It is hard to get a vibe.
Yeah.
Like half the time you're just like, so hello.
Yeah. So I've mostly just been doing it totally in separate chunks. Like production sends me a beat. I will work on writing. I'll record something, send it back. They'll work on the beat and maybe alter it a bit. I'll send it back. I'll do, we've just kind of been going back and forth. So a lot of sending, which actually works for me pretty well, because I always, I guess, I'm very comfortable making my music on my own. I historically have made a lot of my projects like in my home studio, and that's where I'm at right now, like in my home studio. So it looks
great.
Thank you. I'm very comfortable there. So it wasn't like too crazy to have to do everything separate. But, every once in a while, especially when it comes to collaborating with like other artists, you really want to be in the room. Like it just makes it more special. It's just a little bit more fun.
Were you in the room when you recorded Love Reggae with JoJo?
No, I wasn't. I think that wasn't that during lockdown too, or it was just before.
Yeah, it came out in August, I think. Last August.
So no, we did that separately. Unfortunately, JoJo's awesome though. She had a music video for another one of her songs that like I did like a little cameo in.
Oh, was it What You Need?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that music video. I didn't realize you were in it.
Yeah, that's how we first talked about like doing a song together. And then she sent me Love Reggae.
Oh, that's sick.
So now let's get into the real pod girl shit. When I'm preparing for an episode, I'll like usually go to my family and be like, hey, I'm talking to this person on the podcast. Like, do you know them? Do you have any questions? My brother got like super pumped and was like mentioning specifically how like 2-1 changed his best friend Javin's life.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, yes, sick. Okay.
It's clearly changed your life.
Indeed.
Could you share with us just a bit of how it's affected your career, your music?
Yeah, I mean, that song, like you said, just changed the game for me. I'd already made like 4 projects at that time, none that I'd put out officially with the label, but I had my mixtape. So I was like bubbling in the community and in the blog sphere, I guess. But that was the first single that I put out with a major label, and out the gate, it just kind of like smashed. And I both didn't expect that and also like did at the same time, because I didn't have anything to like
compare it to.
Yeah, I had no way to compare that to like what releasing a single usually is like. So I was like, oh, any song I put out is gonna just smash like right off rip.
I mean, duh.
You
know?
So that's what it felt like, because at the time I'd already been working on releasing that first album for like 2 years. So there was a lot of work happening behind the scenes. I was like really focused on getting that album out, and like it was my debut album. So like a lot of press and like touring and going to radio stations and meeting all the program directors. Like it was a totally different era in music for one. And I was just busy because I was a new artist. So I feel like at the time I didn't even realize like all the things that were happening. It was a kind of a whirlwind. I just turned 21. Like we were on the flights all the time. We were at the club all the time. It was just like crazy. Then Drake did the remix. I found out on Twitter. I was like, this is amazing.
You found out on Twitter?
Yep. I found out on Twitter.
But by like a random fan? Like what?
Someone like tweeted, oh my God, Drake remixed Tinashe. And I was like, let me click this link really quick. I was in the back of an Uber, like going to a photo shoot for my single Flame.
And you were like, pull over.
Yeah, I was just, then I got to the photo shoot, obviously telling everyone, I was like, oh my God, guess what? Yeah. But yeah, it was like a really special time in my life that now looking back on, I can see how actually crazy it was. And the fact that that song is like stood the test of time and like still is a banger and doesn't feel dated. And like every time it comes on, people still react to it so well. And it's been like memed now and everyone's like, oh my God, legendary song. Like that's really, really, really incredible to me that like out the gate, that was what I came with. Like, that's sick. But I definitely set the bar pretty high. And since then, in trying to replicate its success, there have been ups and downs for sure. And now I don't even really try to replicate its success anymore. I just like make whatever I make. 'Cause that's the energy I made when I made 2-1. I was not like expecting it to blow up. I made it in my friend's garage.
Oh, sick.
Just randomly. It wasn't even like a session that the label set up. It was just like me and my friends vibing. So I think that's when I always make my best stuff. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Natural vibe.
Yeah.
I was going to say, speaking of debuts, before that, you sampled Blur by Britney Spears on your first original solo song.
Yeah.
Can't Say No.
That's right.
And then flash forward to 2016, you have a duet with her.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's an incredible full circle story.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things in my life look like that when you are able to like look back, and hopefully there will be even more of those. But it truly to me is like such a testament to how I've like manifested everything, the good and the bad. The way you can look back on it is like, damn, I really saw that coming in some way. Like, I don't know how, or like I connected like a thing that I did when I was a kid to how when I grew up, like Britney was the first album that I bought, and coming in the game, like remixing one of her songs, first song out the gate, and just like always knowing she was my idol, and then being able to collaborate with her was amazing. Or like, I remember when I was like 12 being like, oh, the first car I want is like a Ferrari California. And I went on the website and like designed it and everything. And then like years later, I got the Ferrari. So it's just like really cool that I can put these things into the universe. And maybe even if they don't happen like right away, years later, you'll see the results. And it's really incredible. I've definitely been very lucky in that way, that I've achieved a lot of things that have been like on a bucket list of mine that maybe I even forgot about.
That's cute when you forget about them and they come back and you're like, oh shit.
You're like, I totally said that.
Again, you can see the future.
Yes, exactly.
Manifesting is super powerful though. Like I've had like so many kind of similar experiences, like obviously not like with Britney Spears, but like, I mean, I was in like a Beatles cover band for a charity event and I was like the lead singer. A couple years later, I was like literally in a writing room with Paul McCartney.
That's sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Nuts. So kind of going off of this manifesting thing. So during your Pop Heads AMA, you'd mentioned that you like felt liberated at the idea that we're living in a simulation. And you like specifically mentioned how you've been thinking of the nature of reality and like referencing it in your music since Reverie. Could you just like talk about that a little bit more? Like, I really want to know your thoughts on this.
Yeah, totally. I don't know why I've been so obsessed with the nature of reality for so long. I think it's just always been intriguing to me and interesting.
I'm so the same way.
And I think that maybe why I initially got so interested in it is because I realized that I was able to like manifest so many things in my life, like my whole career. It's not like I knew anyone in the music business or in the entertainment business. Like my parents are from like Iowa. Like the fact that I was able to like achieve what I was able to achieve like so easily at such a young age is like, damn, that's incredible. So anyways, looking at that, and I remember when I was younger, I would think, okay, well, maybe this is something to do with like dreams. And like, I have these dreams and somehow I'm able to make my dreams real. I made a song called Dreams Are Real, I think in 2014 or 15. I had my album Reverie in 2012 that really talks about like, if this were all a dream, or like you can look at life as if it's a dream. I have a song called Lucid Dreaming, which is about going through life as if you're lucid dreaming and being able to make the decisions that you make, but like whatever ones you want. So these have been like recurring themes in my music and my art forever. And I think as time has gone on and I've just kind of explored more ideas surrounding it and more concepts. And also just in 2020, I got really into like tech and gaming and like just watching a lot of like podcasts about like AI and technology and space and just like everything that everyone's been talking about. It's really kind of further developed that concept of like thinking about reality and like, maybe, okay, how does this stuff intertwine? Like how does tech and how does VR, like how do all of these things potentially tie into like my spiritual beliefs? And I guess the conclusion I came to is potentially using simulation theory, like taking the question that like, okay, maybe what if this is all like some type of simulation, some type of like game or some type of computer program. In looking at that in a fresh perspective, I was trying to, and I've felt like maybe this is associated with like the ego death that we search for in spirituality. Maybe this is associated with like, if you look at it less as like, okay, this is a loss of our control, we're just avatars in a game, but look at it more so as, okay, like you're understanding how it works. You can actually hack the system potentially, like you can actually then use it to your advantage to be able to kind of control your narrative better. I
like that optimism.
Right. Or also just think about the fact that, you know, our egos, the things that like keep us small and hold us back, they like, we don't need to embody those concepts as much because it is all just a simulation. Like we are able to just like be one with the universe and like look at these grander concepts in a way that feels freeing versus like hopeless. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I've been,
no, it totally does.
I be in my head a lot. And I think I wanted to present those concepts to my fans with 333 and kind of move that discussion forward in a direction that maybe includes like simulation and tech and gaming and those concepts.
I'm like the same way, like especially after like all this, the US government confirming like UFOs.
Yeah.
I love how you said that so hushed.
But it's funny because, like, to me, I've been into UFOs since I was like a kid, like a kid. Like, so I'm like old news. We're past the age. We knew about.
We know. Yeah.
Next, like, give us the real information here.
Did you see J.J. Abrams is coming out with a doco like next week?
Is he?
About, yeah, it's called UFOs. Look it up.
Okay.
There's a trailer on YouTube and it's going to be nuts.
All right. I'll be watching it. It's like, I've seen all of these clips already. Like, give us something fresh. Tell us that there's an interdimensional portal in the ocean. Like, give us like the real info, you know, like.
That's what I need.
You know? Yeah.
U.S. government, I know you're listening. We're calling on you.
And like, I like to think a lot of the times as aliens, like at one point I reached the conclusions that aliens were probably just interdimensional beings as opposed to like from another planet, because like, how are they able to like move the laws of physics and like do these types of things?
That's exactly.
Like they're clearly already here on top of us in just like another realm, like 5D or like 60 or 70, like duh.
It's a very Rick and Morty reality.
Yes. But like, to me, just the fact that all these concepts are like coming into the forefront now, as well as like the pandemic, like that seems crazy. Like no one saw that coming. Like all this stuff with climate change is like crazy. Like all the stuff that they've just been talking about, like moon wobbles and like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of stuff happening that's just like, this seems crazy. Like, if that doesn't make you at least consider the fact that this is like a simulation or something, like, I don't know what will, because it's like, you couldn't write this stuff. This is like Black Mirror times 55.
More on that note, like, since you're like saying gaming and like you have a Twitch, Nasty Tinashe, for any Twitch users listening, and you featured VR in your music videos, you've done VR concerts. Like, I'm really wondering, like, how's your love for all this technology inspired, like, your aesthetic and approach to this album? Because it definitely has that vibe. Just, you know, before hearing it, it seems like that.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I definitely wanted to just incorporate those concepts and those ideas both in the art, like what it aesthetically looks like maybe having like Pasadena with the VR headset, kind of maybe implying that the whole Pasadena reality is maybe a fictionalized or like a super rosy version of what reality is. And just like having those references throughout the art, whether it's the cover art or the videos or the trailers, but also like literally exploring those concepts by like you said, doing VR concerts, trying to experiment in that space. I think we did a couple different versions of it and trying to, I guess, recreate the energy of like a real live show. Like one was totally VR. I was an avatar. Everyone was an avatar. I was actually in the room. Like I had the bodysuit on, so I was doing the motions live, but it was weird. There was still like a big disconnect, I think, between like the avatar me and like the real me and the people. So we're trying to crack this code still. The second version of that I did, I was real, but I was on a green screen and then the whole world was VR. And that was also interesting. I think when the technologies develop with that could be really intriguing because you can place the setting anywhere. And the fans feel like it's a little bit more like it's actually you, a little bit more tangible because they can actually see your real face and your real movement. But yeah, I mean, I think technology, we still have a little bit to go in terms of like how we develop VR concerts and music videos. Like I'm working on a lot of videos that incorporate these concepts. Like one's coming out for Undo that I'm really excited about, that kind of like takes place within a game. And, you know, gaming and technology, VR, I think all these things, even in the next 10 years, are going to get so much crazier. And to just like be a part of that now, I think is really fun and exciting because when all of these technologies do develop, we could be like, great, like we were part of the first VR shows. We were part of like that first like wave, like we'll be right there to ride it, you know?
So, and this was like pre-pandemic and then you did one during pandemic.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the new reality, honestly.
Yeah. And that's like the perfect example of like, you have to get into your interest or like start developing these things because like, you never know, maybe a year from now, how valuable it will be to have this. That was really inspiring to know that, okay, we did this before lockdown. We'll do it in lockdown. We'll do it after lockdown. Like, it's not over though. It's not over. There's a lot more to happen in the future. I have another like virtual performance coming up at the end of my tour, but that's not really as VR as much, but you know, we're still experimenting with different ways to connect.
Well, I always think about like, remember when like holograms were like the shit to do at concerts, like maybe 9 years ago?
Yes. Oh my God. Those holograms were sick though. I was at Coachella when Tupac came out.
You were there?
I was in the front, baby.
Oh
I was
God.
right there. Yes. I'm like a Coachella stan. Like I've been going since I was like 15 and I would be like there all day, like in the front, like sleeping in the grass, like. And then when people started being like, yeah, I go to Coachella. I'm like, you don't even go to Coachella. You just go to the parties.
You don't even know.
such a snob. But like the opposite of a snob, like whatever.
Speaking of ideas and speaking of visions, you released Throw a Fit, which is my personal favorite song of yours, off of what was supposed to be XOXO Nashe when you were still with RCA, but the project never came out. I was wondering what the vision for that was going to be and if we're ever going to hear any of it in later projects.
Well, Nashe, I made in like a highly emotional time in my life. I'd just gone through like a breakup and I was like publicly being like shamed in the media. There was like all this BS going on. And I was just like, literally like just had so much energy, like so much like frustration.
It was an angst record.
Literally, like I just went in the studio and we just made like banger after banger after banger. And I like was this persona of like this girl who literally did not give a fuck. Like I was just like, it made me feel so like much more empowered at the time because I was able to just go into the studio and like have this bad bitch persona and like feel so like both aggressive, but like unapologetic and like in your face. And that was not how I was feeling at all in real life. I was feeling really victimized, really hurt, really small. And so I feel like that was the perfect time for me to create all that music. And I still really, really love all the songs we made. But yeah, RCA didn't get it. They weren't really vibing with it. They kind of were like, this isn't you. And I was like, what do you mean this isn't me? This is me. This is me right now. Like, this is who I am right now. And I feel like that's very true of me is like, I don't like limit myself to one sound style because I don't ever feel like who I am fits in like one box. I have a lot of ebbs and flows in my personality and the things that, you know, ways that I express myself. Sometimes I'm a little like this. Sometimes I'm a little like that. That year, that summer, I was Nashe. I was embodying it.
Is Nashe like an alter ego?
Yes, kind of. But like, she's a part of me.
There's like Tinashe and then there's Nashe.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Nashe is like, you can't tell her shit about shit. And so
don't mess with Nashe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I still think that if we had released that project, it would have smashed, and it like makes me a little sad. But we did get the 2 songs out from it, and both of those are like 2 of my like most successful singles to date. So I'm glad that at least people got to hear a couple of them. And a couple of them ended up on Songs for You.
Damn. Well, we were robbed of a Nashe album, but it's okay. We'll get her in the future.
It's
hopefully.
true. Yeah.
She'll be back.
Yes.
Hopefully that doesn't mean like emotional turmoil for you, though.
Your new imagery incorporates your opened third eye. Mm-hmm. So is that inner self like in a visual for you?
Totally. I just wanted to represent that inner light kind of shining through, the fact that maybe I have evolved, like I have awakened a little bit. I have woken up to, you know, I guess my purpose as an artist, which I also feel a lot more with this project, even more confident as independent and just like way more aligned with what I'm meant to do, who I'm supposed to be. And I think that is what I wanted to represent in the art, is that, okay, she's had this like positive evolution or like this growth, or she's like woken up to the matrix.
The simulation.
Yes, exactly.
Was your spirituality and stuff not only involved then in the artwork, but also the title 333?
Yes, absolutely. 333 are angel numbers, and you know, they kind of always, when you see them, they're supposed to remind you that you're on the right track, that you're protected, that, you know, your guides are leading you in the right direction. And I think that again, was a lot of the themes for this project. It was a lot of like, I'm safe in who I am, in my place in the music industry, and my purpose here, in my art.
Goals.
Yeah.
And okay, to round off this Real Pod Girl shit, we have one game for you, Tinashe.
A segment that we like to call DM Block.
It's like fuck, marry, kill.
Fuck, marry, kill, but call DM Block. Are you going to call
a
them?
little less severe.
Are you going to slide into their DMs? Whether professionally or personally or whatever, or are you going to block them? We're going to do 3 TV hosts. So we got Tyra Banks,
Okay.
Dr. Phil, Steve Harvey.
Okay.
Who are you going to call? Who are you going to DM? Who are you going to block?
I'm calling my boy Dr. Phil.
Right.
Because I want him to give me advice. I don't know on what, but it would just like be really funny. Just like, I love Dr. Phil. It's like such a guilty pleasure because some of the episodes on that show are so ridiculous. But
I love Dr. Phil.
I love Dr.
So
Phil.
what is the biggest Dr. Phil fan?
I love Dr. Phil.
Oh my God.
Sorry,
are we
girl?
twins?
I think we're twins. I'm pretty sure.
Like, okay, he's got just like some phrases he says that just like are valuable, you know?
I have learned so much from him, and
learned a lot.
Not ashamed to say it.
Yep. So I'm calling my boy Dr. Phil. I'm DMing Tyra Banks because I still love her. I watched the Tyra show when she had her little talk show when I was young. I would watch it when I got home from school, and I always wanted a talk show. So I got to put that back on my bucket list. I want a talk show someday.
Girl, you got to manifest that.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
you're manifesting it right here and right now.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll DM Tyra and she can help me start my own talk show since she has some expertise. And then I guess I'm blocking Steve Harvey.
Sorry, Steve.
So I have nothing to discuss with him unless he wants to bring me on Family Feud. Like I'm down for that.
So sick.
That'd be so fun.
Would your family do well on Family Feud?
Oh yeah, we'd kill it.
Right.
I'm confident. Right. It kills me when in Family Feud, when the families have too much confidence and they're like, name an animal with 4 legs. And they're like, hummingbird. And the family's like, yeah. Good job.
Good answer.
Good answer.
And then Steve Harvey just stares at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will not be doing that in my family. If my family says a dumb answer, we are publicly shaming them. So that's why we would win.
Let's move on to questions for the culture. So this is our section of the podcast where we take discussion questions from the sub, from users like you being whoever's listening, and we give them to people like Tinashe and ourselves. Today we're going to be talking about, do you think the title of an album is important? If yes, what is your favorite and least favorite album title?
But let's start with the first question. Do you think the title of an album is important?
I think I'm a bad person to ask because I think everything is really important. But that's because I feel like I am an artist. So you have to pay attention to all those details. Like the name of the album is important. The name of the tracks are important. The track list, the order is really important. The sequencing. A lot of people don't even listen to albums in sequence, which is like, oh, shit.
Yeah, if you press shuffle, I'm like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Especially if it's the first time you listen to an album.
Mostly that.
Because then you're not even giving it a chance.
Yeah. I spent months on that order.
Sometimes you listen to an album, but it's accidentally on shuffle and you don't realize until you're finished and it just like ruins your day.
Yep. So I definitely think it's important, but I guess as a listener, like if I'm able to take myself out of the mind state of like the artist, I don't know if it's that important. I'll listen to an album I'm interested in regardless of the title, I feel.
But sometimes an album title can turn you off though. Like, no offense, I'm going to give an anecdote for me. No offense to Justin Bieber. But when I saw that it was Justice, I was like, I'm going to need a minute till I listen to this.
Like, you know what? I still haven't listened to Justice. I wasn't fully tapped into the Justice era, but I really liked, what was the album he put out before?
Changes.
Yeah. No. Was that Changes? The red one?
Yeah, the red one.
Yeah, Changes.
See, I don't even know the names of them, but like I loved that album.
I love that album too.
Yeah.
That is a
album.
hot take here, but I'm really glad that you're backing me up because maybe now that you've said that you love Changes, I'll start getting a little less heat for it.
I think an example of a good album title is Lemonade by Beyonce.
The whole time you're wondering, why is it called Lemonade though? And then it hits you and you're like, oh man. Because it's not even that like, it's not even like she's using the phrase like lemons into lemonade or whatever. The album's called Lemonade because the album is the lemonade. It's the lemonade that she made out of the lemons.
Exactly.
I love that.
But I mean,
also it's very intriguing. You're like, lemonade.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What is this about? I love titles that are like, what is that about? Like, I love the ones that are kind of like confusing. Like that to me is intriguing. Like what I think is a good album title is like Travis Scott, Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight. Like, what? Intrigued. I'm instantly intrigued. I want to know more.
An instant classic album.
I want to know more. Also, the album's fire. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That helps.
I think there are a couple other ones that sum it up really well, like at least conceptually. There's After Laughter by Paramore, which is, according to Haley, After Laughter is about the look on people's faces when they're done laughing. If you watch somebody long enough, there's always that look that comes across their face when they're done smiling. And I always find it so fascinating and wonder what it is that brought them back to reality. I'm sorry.
This is not a visual medium, but Tinashe's cat's butt has made a debut here on Main Pod Girl.
Move. All right.
Cats really just do whatever they want. Like,
yeah, just
they
like right in my face.
You know, actually, AJ, when you say that, I kind of disagree. I don't really think that After Laughter captures the album very well, but that's just me, even though I'm like a huge Paramore fan.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
It's
hot
so
take.
like upbeat, but then it's like it's all about the sadness.
Yeah, like it's such a fun album, but like after you're done listening to it, you have like feelings of just melancholy after.
I think Teenage Dream is a really good example of an album title that really captures the album.
For sure.
I love Teenage Dream.
I'm a huge Bonnie McKee fan.
Yeah, we stand Bonnie in this house.
We do stand Bonnie in this house. Exactly.
I like when they take album titles that are just like reinventions of certain words. Like art pop, it's like two different things, and when you make it into one, it's kind of intriguing concept. Another one, Lonerism by Tame Impala. It's like, I don't think lonerism is a real word, but like you think about it, it's like, what is it, like the concept of being a loner? And then a lot of the songs are like that too.
I love a good self-titled.
I was gonna say, so out of the self-titles, I feel like sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. It has to be the right album. When it's meant to be
a self-titled, it's like, yes, it hits.
But how do you know when it's meant to be? You know, like what?
You just know. Like I haven't had my self-titled era yet, you know, like I'm not there yet.
You almost did.
Yeah, she was close. She was
close.
She was close.
But Brittany had two self-titles. I don't know if either of them are like the album though.
No,
they're not my personal favorite Britney albums, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
but
Beyonce works so well.
She was like, "What more did I need to say?" You know.
Period.
Exactly.
She just has that star power.
Like you listen to Partition and you know that the album's called Beyonce, and you're like, "Yep." Like, especially the album cover, just Beyonce.
This is the concept.
Yeah, the concept is Beyonce. Yeah. I really like the album titles that are like if an artist has a stage name and they put their real name. So like Amala for Doja Cat, like Tyrone for Slow Tie, Montero for Lil Nas X, which by the way, I will always say this, why did he not go by Montero? That is the coolest fucking name ever. Like
cool name.
Same with Amala, but
yeah, Amala, what?
I digress.
Yeah. But anyway, I do like those as well. I think that that's a cool little touch that they can do. Makes it a little bit personal in a way that I wasn't expecting.
There was like the Maroon 5 album V.
Does anyone know what that V stands for to this day? Do we know?
I think it's their 5th album.
Oh.
But I don't know.
Yeah, that album has bangers though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's why I just wish it had a better title.
But this is my argument that the titles don't matter. I didn't even like, it's not like I'm ever like that V album. I just
you know, it's funny because like with Changes earlier, I keep forgetting that it's actually called Changes.
Yeah,
it's the Red album to me.
Yeah,
and
it's the red one with the bangers.
His first album in like 4 years, right? Or 5 years.
Yeah.
What was
It would have been like
changing?
a comeback.
He got married.
But the album
Right, he
isn't
did
really
get married.
about the marriage.
No.
It isn't. It's about tax benefits.
What about Control, SZA? That's the one for me.
Oh, that's perfect. When you have SZA's mom at the end talking about control and what that means to her, oh, it's beautiful.
I'm here for that title. That's a great title.
I know.
And wasn't her
That's-
previous album just like Z? And then that's Control.
Yeah.
So I think like Control Z, like I can't explain it with
Oh my
own
God,
words,
wait,
but I know there's some
Wait.
kind of concept there.
I
Oh,
need like
no.
a minute. I need like a minute.
I didn't think
I hope I'm
about
not
that.
bullshitting this. I'm pretty
literally-
sure I read something like that.
I mean,
I believe it.
yeah, I believe it. I'm here. I'm so here for that.
Even if it's
Okay.
not canon, I'm still sticking with it.
You know what? And I honestly think that sometimes artists be making connections with their work without even necessarily realizing it. Like, I feel like I've done that in the past where like I've either created something or written something that maybe months later down the line, I'll be like, oh my God, that seems like this to this. And like, it's weird because I guess you could say that wasn't the initial intention, but like maybe it was on some subconscious level because somehow I'm making these connections and like they're all kind of falling into place. I don't know. It's kind of confusing to describe, but I just feel like ideas don't come out of like a vacuum. Like if they're all kind of circulating like within your brain and your consciousness, like it makes sense that concepts will be connected in ways that maybe you don't even necessarily understand.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to our top 5. So this week we are going to do our top 5 concerts. We have probably been to a lot of concerts amongst all of us.
Yeah, I was going to say my number 5 concert, I actually performed at, but it's
Right,
not
okay.
narcissism. It was a really great concert.
I mean, it's a little maybe. So
No, I promise it's
we'll
not
have listeners
narcissism.
decide.
We're
You
here
know,
for it.
no, okay. Actually, AJ, why don't you go first then? Since you've
Okay.
you've teased us now.
My number 5 is Paramore and Fall Out Boy with New Politics. At the time, they were like my 3 favorite bands. So it's like, it was absolutely, completely surreal to be there. And then my number 4 is a concert I went to with Sola, which is Lizzo. And then my number 3, Leon Bridges. I absolutely love Leon Bridges. And I think the coolest thing I've ever seen in a concert was something that he did. His first album and his second album are so very different in terms of like style, because his first album sounds like it was recorded in the 50s and his second album is very modern. And so when he was performing it live, he performed all the songs from his first album in the style of his second album. Changed the key, changed the tempo, changed some of the chords. It was fucking unbelievable. He took advantage of the live aspect, so that's why he's on my number 3. My number 2 was when I went to the 2016 MTV VMAs. This was the year that Rihanna got the Video Vanguard Award and performed 4 separate times. Ariana and Nicki had them on the stationary bikes. You had Beyonce coming out with her 15-minute Lemonade surprise performance, which
Oh, shit.
I mean, I think everyone knew about an hour before the show. And Britney Spears' VMAs comeback.
Holy shit!
I think I was there.
Oh no way!
We were in the same room.
That was
Crazy.
fun. We were in the same room.
And my number 1, Miley Cyrus and the Flaming Lips on the Dead Pets tour, also known as the Milky Milky Milk tour.
Of course it was.
Do not like that title at all, but I loved the show. Like, she only did 5 shows to support that album. And so you could really tell, like, in the show that she was just energized and she was ready and she was doing it because she loved it.
Saw that one at Barclays.
Oh my God. Yes. Another show we both went to.
Yay!
Ed, do you want to go next?
Okay, my number 5, just because she's one of my favorite artists ever, Carly Rae Jepsen. She's that concert was just such a good time right after Dedicated. Everyone was just partying. Number 4, I have Anderson .Paak. So when I tell you we were dancing from the very start of that concert all the way until the end, like we had like little dance circles in the crowd, like as if it was a club. Number 3, I have Bon Iver. This was his 22 A Million tour. And it was just, like if you've ever seen one of his concerts for that tour, like he just has really trippy visuals, and not just like, psychedelic swirls, but like interesting lights and like text floating around and like almost like synesthesia shit. We left that concert just thinking we were like tripping, and we were just so lost going into it, and then we became new people.
And that's only number 3?
Yeah.
That's number 3, yeah. Not to be that stan, but number 2, it would have to be like a tie between Tinashe's VR concerts or that home concert early pandemic, just because like those were such like, being at home, it's such a shitty feeling, and those were concerts where I really felt immersed.
Thank you.
And even the home concert, it was like you really made the most of that space. Just like
I'm glad that you felt that way, because definitely as a performer, it felt like a challenge to try to bring that energy. But I was like, the only way I'm gonna do it is just like go in, like be raw.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're all in the house. Like, so thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Number 1, we were like almost front row at Gov Ball for Lord, and we were just like faded through the whole set. And like when she started playing like Liability, like that was just such a dark time in my life, and like finally I'm like at a concert enjoying myself. Oh my god, I feel even emotional talking about it. But like when she got into Liability, I was just in tears the entire song. Just I've never cried that much in my life, I don't think. Just because I was like, I was just so in my emotions. Like we were faded as hell too. Like
That helps you cry, definitely.
Sola, your turn.
I have 6 written down, and so I'm just going to get rid of this last one. Oh, but it feels really painful.
You can do 6 because I can only think of 4.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is what nobody asked for, 6 from me. So number 6, one of my friends, David, in high school, he won tickets on a radio contest to see Green Day. And I'm from the Bay Area in California, and they're also from the Bay Area. And they performed for like 3 hours straight. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it was like the most insane concert I have been to. They gave out guitars. They like did so much, like they fucking shot so much shit into the crowds. Number 5 would be, I went to see a K-Con in 2014, and that's like a K-pop like concert in LA. It was just nuts. It was like the visuals were insane. I was also fucked up, so it was awesome. And like it was like BTS and Girls' Generation and G-Dragon and all these like legends and stuff. And it was BTS's like first, I think they had just formed as well. So it was like their first tour or something. So it was just nuts. Number 4, 2008 Warped Tour.
Yes.
And that had like Katy Perry, Gym Class Heroes, Bring Me the Horizon. My number 3, I was a seat filler at the 2013 American Music Awards. And that was very fun. So many artists like Rihanna and One Direction at the time, like a very young Ariana Grande. And then my number 2 was a very special moment. AJ and I went to university at Paul McCartney's school. So in my very first year, Paul invited all the music students and the sound tech students to his sound check. It was just a wild experience, like having him like address us and talk to us and stuff. And then number 1, it would have to be Paramore. I was a late bloomer to writing my own music because I just didn't have confidence. And then as soon as I saw like Hayley Williams, and I was like, I can do that too. And so that inspired me. So that has to be my number 1 show.
All right. Top 4, Tinashe.
All right. So my number 4 is I saw Jay-Z at Barclays. And that's probably the only concert that I've ever seen in my life where there was literally only one person on stage the whole time. It was just Jay-Z.
No way.
Just Jay-Z for like 2 hours. That still stands out in my mind so much because like the sheer star power. I don't think there were even screens. There was no screens. There was no production. There was no band. There were no dancers. It was just him on stage rapping. And that's all you needed. Like he really engaged the audience that much. That's that intangible star power quality. It was amazing. My number 3 was the first concert I ever went to, which was Christina Aguilera at Staples Center Back to Basics tour.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was 6th grade or 7th grade or something. I went with my dad, and it was just so incredible. Not only because it was my first time at a concert, but also just, I feel like that show, now that I've been to a lot more, was really, really special because she had like the huge brass section. She had the full band. They were doing like all of those, like Ain't No Other Man, like live is amazing. Like,
oh my God.
Just
I
having
had to be there.
Oh my God, having that full band. There's nothing like a full band. Like, it just gives you so much energy. And she looked amazing. She had that like, iconic show. And then, okay, my second favorite was Beyonce Formation Tour. Because like, need I say more, which I had the privilege of being able to come out and like do a little 2-on performance before the show as well. So like that made it really special for me, obviously, to be a part of it and like being the little thank you at the end. But also just like that show again, like, the production, just next level. The screens were like 50 feet tall. Obviously the dancing was unreal. And then my number one show is actually a total curveball. It was the XX at the Guggenheim Museum in 2014. And I think they only did like 5 or 6 shows, and there were only like 30 other people there, or maybe less. Like it was like 20 people in the audience. And we started off in like this little basement, and we're like, what are we doing here? We all had to like sit there. It was like really awkward. I was like, is this when we get killed? Maybe. And then they like walk us like through the back entrance or something. We like walk into this like weird little room with like, I guess like sheets hanging on the sides and the walls, and the band was in a pit. So we're all standing around the pit, and we see the band, and like, they were incredible. And then all of a sudden the walls like started moving, and there were projections, there were lights in the walls and the ceiling. And then they like raised up. And then at one point the walls just dropped, and we were in this massive ballroom chamber, and their music was just like echoing through the space. And I was just like blown away by just the experience and being so intimate with them. But like, it was still so stunning and like such a beautiful work of art. And to this day, like so inspiring to me in terms of like how to give an impactful performance with like, there were like 20 people in the room. Again, I think some of my most impactful concert experiences have been when it's like less is more. So definitely XX at the Guggenheim, number one.
Wild.
Wow. That was a curveball. I was not expecting that.
Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
Yeah, glad you could. So if people want to give you some love, let you know what they think of 333, where can they find you?
I mean, I'm on all the socials, so definitely check out, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Twitch.
Hit me up. I'll see them all.
What's your handle?
Oh, Tinashe.
That's so simple.
Perfect.
Pretty sure. On Instagram, it's Tinashe now, but, pretty much if you look up Tinashe, I'm sure you'll find it.
Perfect. Stop what you're doing. Go immediately to listen to 333. Let us know if you want to hear anything else on this show.
Sola, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at I Am Sola Music on all social media. What about you, AJ?
You can find me at AJ Marks Official on all platforms. And I have an EP coming out on August 13th.
I didn't know this. This is news to me. Holy shit.
I know.
Amazing. Okay, well, if you want to also find Popheads, that is at Popheads on Twitter, and then at Popheads Reddit on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tinashe. This has been so much fun.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.